Hello everyone, MTG Sly Guy here with an update on my Naya build. This is a update for the game day weekend coming up, so I hope you enjoy. First off, as always, we'll start with the lands. It's a Naya deck, so we have 5 forests, 1 plains, and 1 mountain. Next up, we have a full play set of Aether Hubs, full play set of Needle Spires, 2 Cinderglade, 2 Game Trail, 3 Canopy Vista, and finally 3 Fortified Village for a total of 25 lands. Okay, first off with the spells, we'll run through this in order of CMC. Starting off with the 1-drops, we have 3 Authority of the Consuls. This is in response to a couple of things. If anybody plans on running the Saheeli Copycat Crazy Cat Lady combo, it shuts that down nicely. And it's also pretty good against the vehicle decks that undoubtedly the Spikes will be running on the weekend because it just won the Pro Tour and dominated the Pro Tour. So it's a 3-of. So it prevents them from crewing when creatures first enter, and of course getting life is always good against an aggressive deck like that. So it's a 3-of. Next up we have 2 Blossoming Defense. It's a good buff spell, instant speed, protects your creatures. It's mainly in here to protect things like the Sylvan Advocate and the Needle Spires, because you get to protect your Needle Spires and deal up to an additional 4 damage because you're giving a double strike creature +2/+2. Next up, 2 Oath of Nissa. It's just a good solid card. It replaces itself. It lets you dig through your library if you need lands. Just smooths out your mana curve for your planeswalkers also. So it's just a good card. Solid 2-of. Next up, 2 Heart of Kiran. It's just a good card. 4/4 Flying Vigilance for 2 mana. It's crew 3, and you can remove a counter from one of your planeswalkers. So for instance, you play your Gideon, make a token or whatever, on the next turn you can make it a +1 to make it a 5/5, and then take the counter off to make this to crew this and swing in for 9. Just a solid card, good value. So it is a 2-of in the deck. It's also good to kind of fight back against the vehicle decks that might be throwing their own Hearts of Kiran at you. Next up, a full play set of Sylvan Advocates. Again, solid value card, synergizes really nicely, really well with Needle Spires. I explained most of this in the first video about the deck. Synergizes with the Nissa that's in here. And it also has Vigilance, which is a added synergy with the Rishkar. So you could, for instance, play turn 2 Sylvan Advocate, turn 3 Rishkar, swing in for 3 with your Sylvan Advocate, and then after combat, tap it for Oath of Nissa, or tap it mid-combat to protect it with your Blossoming Defense, so on. So it's a full play set. Next up, 3 Immolating Glare. Just really good removal against the aggressive decks, really good against the vehicle decks, really good against the black-green counter decks. A lot of the aggressive decks in the format that want to be swinging things at you. It's just a really efficient 2-mana removal spell. Just a 3-of. Next up, we have 3 Harness Lightning. Again, a pretty decent 2-mana removal spell. Synergizes with Aether Hub in the deck for a little extra energy, so you can get a little bit more use out of your hubs. Just a really good spell. One thing to remember about this spell, because I've had this come up the last game day actually, your opponent doesn't have a chance to respond after you choose how much damage you're actually doing to the creature. I was in a situation at the game day for Kaladesh where I targeted Long Tusk Cub with Harness Lightning, and he said okay, and I said okay, pay 2 energy to kill it, and he said in response I'm gonna put pay 2 energy to put a counter on it to make it a 3/3, and you can't do that. Once the spell resolves, you get the energy and you choose how many energy to spend without passing priority. Your opponent does not have a chance to respond to that. So just a little info for you there. Next up, 1 Aether Sphere Harvester, just because it's super good against opposing vehicle decks. Again, it's a energy dump, so it synergizes with your Harness Lightnings. And yeah, getting lifelink and being able to block a Heart of Kiran that alone is enough for me to put at least one in this deck. It's just a super good card, and the Crew 1 is just fantastic. Next up, one Radiant Flames, just for a lot of the aggressive go wide decks. It's good against vehicles decks, although it's not perfect because obviously they can crew in response. It's good against like the green-white tokens builds. It can be good against the black-green counters, but sometimes they have more than 4 toughness if they get out their constrictors into a Rishkar, for instance. But yeah, good against tokens and good against a lot of the go-wide strategies. Same with 2 Kozilek's Returns. A little bit better, a little bit worse. A little bit better in the sense that it's instant speed. A little bit worse in the sense that it only does 2 damage. And I don't run any 7 drops or greater in this deck, so it doesn't synergize that way. Although I might consider putting one in the sideboard. We'll see. World Breaker is a possibility, but I'm going to be taking this to F&M this week, which is standard, so we'll see how it goes, and I'll make some adjustments for the game day on the weekend. Next up, 3 Rishkar. He's legendary, so obviously I wouldn't run the full playset, but he's super good. Synergizes well. He's a ramp card. It synergizes really well with Sylvan Advocate and Woodland Wanderer, which are also in this deck, because both those creatures happen to have Vigilance. So you can attack with them, and then after they attack, you can still use them as the Mana Dork. And of course, Woodland Wanderer is always going to enter with counters on it, so it's always going to be a Mana Dork. So yeah, 3 of Rishkar. 1 of Nissa Voice Zendikar. It's good in the sense that it's a 3-mana walker that protects itself by putting out tokens. It also synergizes with Rishkar by putting counters on all your creatures. And it's a good 3-drop to play into a Heart of Kiran, because you can play turn 2 Kiran, turn 3 Nissa, and then +1 Nissa, and then also crew your Heart. So yeah, just a solid walker, synergizes well with the other cards in the deck. It's only 1 of. I thought about doing a 2-2 split between this and Rishkar. I still might, but I'm going to try the 3-1 split on Friday, and we'll see how it goes. Next up, 1 of Gideon. What else can you say about Gideon? Best Planeswalker in Standard. Super powerful. Synergizes well with Heart of Kiran. Synergizes well with Aether Sphere Harvester. Super good. I have a second one on the sideboard because it's good against a lot of the control decks, because it puts out multiple threats. And there's a lot of removal in Standard right now that is 1-for-1. And so this is just inherent advantage. Next up, 2 Arlen Chords. Synergizes really well with Needle Spires. She spits out tokens also. And she's removal on a stick. When you flip her over, she can do 3 damage to creature or player. Super good. Gives my creatures haste and pumps them. And also gives them vigilance. Like if I have a play Rishkar into Arlen Chord, I can give Rishkar +2/+2 vigilance, and then he'll be able to attack and also ramp me. So yeah, it is a 2 of. And also, I mean, giving your Needle Spires +2/+2, playing Arlen Chord, and then animating Needle Spires at turn 5 and swinging with a 4/3 double strike is pretty sweet too. Next up, 2 Woodland Wanderers. Just a good value creature. It's pretty much always going to be at least a 5/5 vigilance trample for 4. If you play Rishkar into this, then it also becomes a Mana Dork. So, super good value, super good. It's just, this guy does work. He is probably one of the more underrated rares in Standard right now. He's a workhorse. He's a beast. I love him. Next up, 1 Nissa Vital Force. Just a powerful walker. Gives me recursion if something that I need gets removed with her -3. Her +1 is super powerful too, and it synergizes well with Sylvan Advocate. More often than not, the land is a 7/7, and you're not obligated to tell your opponent that, but as I said in the previous video, you probably should mention that it will be a 7/7 if you have a Sylvan Advocate out. And finally, 2 Verduskier Hulk, just because, I mean, Value Town, right? Value City synergizes with Rishkar. Just a super good creature. It's really sweet when you can crew a Heart of Kiran and then play this guy and make your Heart of Kiran a gigantic ship. It's a super good card, so it's a 2 of, just a little topper off the curve. I've lowered the curve a little bit. I don't run a Johnny, I don't run Chandra, I don't run World Breaker anymore. It's a little bit of a response to the fact that the meta is getting really aggressive with things like black red, black green, and the Mardu vehicles decks. So I'm taking a little bit of a more aggressive approach, a little bit lower to the ground approach, to try and battle those decks that are currently ruling the meta. So that's it for the main board. We'll just run through the sideboard real quickly. 2 Fragmentizes, for obvious reasons, Mardu vehicles, things of that nature. Again, with the Appetite for the Unnatural. Only Appetite also gets rid of anybody who might also be running Gear Hulks. Next up, Nahiri, the Harbinger. She's also really good against artifact strategies like the vehicles decks. The main reason why she's a 2 of on the sideboard is because there is a person at my local meta who is a really good Magic player, and he's currently running mono blue control with Dynavolt Tower and Tezzeret Scheming. So I want to have a way to get rid of Tezzeret Scheming, because that card gets brutal in a hurry. It's just ridiculous, especially in multiples. She's also pretty decent. She gets her ultimate really quickly. So she's just a decent planeswalker overall. She's good, solid removal, and she's good against enchantments. So she's a 2 of. Another Gideon for the control matchups. He's just a big threat, and he puts out multiple permanents that your opponent has to deal with. So he's pretty much just a good card, solid card. Next up, 2 Heroic Intervention, also for the control matchup. Permanents you control get hexproof and indestructible, so it's a good protection spell. It protects my planeswalkers, protects my vehicles. It's just a solid card, instant speed. It's just good. So it's 2 of. Next up, 2 Shock. These come in against the vehicle decks, or a lot of the low to the ground aggressive decks. Removes Veteran Motorist, removes Scrap Heap Scroungers, removes Toolcraft Exemplar before the trigger. Just a solid 1 mana, and also a little bit of extra damage to planeswalkers if need be. Just a solid 1 mana burn spell. Next up, 2 Deccan Stones. Just a little bit of added removal. Mainly though, I will avoid bringing these in against anything that isn't green-white tokens. I know of at least one person who will be at my LGS this weekend playing green-white tokens, and this is just really good against tokens. Normally I don't like to bring these in unless I feel it's absolutely necessary, because I don't like giving my opponents card draw. But yeah, just a efficient exile effect. If anybody happens to be running Aetherworks Marvel and running Ulamog, I'll be bringing this in against Ulamog. So yeah, it's 2 of. 1 of Fumigate, just against creature-heavy strategies, green-black counters, things of that nature. Sorry, 2 of Fumigate. I forgot I put a second one in there. And finally, 1 of Sky Sovereign Council Flagship. Super good against the vehicle decks, and just having a 6/5 beater in the air that bolts something every time it attacks is just a solid card. I wanted to put it in main board, but I thought that 3 5-drops was a bit much, so as it is, so I really didn't want to have a 4th one. So I can always side one of my other 5-drops out for this in the matchups that dictate it. So yeah, that's the deck updated. I'm going to be testing this on Friday night and making adjustments accordingly for the weekend. But yeah, I've play tested a couple times, totally casually, and it seems good. I really like the Authority of the Consoles. It's a super good 1-drop. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe and leave any comments below. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.